right, and we're all set.
All right, thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This is an overview of our Knowles Teaching Initiative Teaching Fellows Program. And I am Jen Mossgrove. I am the director of the Teaching Fellows Program, and I am excited to be here with you this evening to share about this. During the webinar, you can also submit questions via chat. And if I don't answer them just through the presentation together, then we'll make sure at the end there's a time for Q&A. We can also submit additional questions, and we will make sure to get those answered. And also just to let you know at the end, I'll make sure you have all the information you need for how to apply or to contact us with any questions that you have. Oops. So in our time together today, I'm going to provide an overview of the teaching fellowship and discuss the benefits of being a teaching fellow. And then we'll return to discussing eligibility for applying and finally make sure you know what the application process is. So let's begin with an overview of the program. The Knowles Teacher Initiative is a national community of over 600 teachers who are committed to becoming amazing teachers who inspire their students, who support each other in this process of teaching, and who lead from the classroom to support their own communities. Through the 4-year Teaching Fellows program, we support early career high school math and science teachers in these efforts. After the 4 years, Teaching Fellows then transition into our Senior Fellow program, where they continue to receive support for their entire career in education. Today, I'll discuss 4 key aspects of the Teaching Fellowship and the support that's available to our fellows. First, fellows have membership in and access to a variety of caring and impactful communities. Second, I'll share how Knowles Teaching Fellows benefit from access to financial support through grants and stipends. Then I'll share how we support professional growth in part through our curricular focus. Oops. And finally, I'll share how we individually support fellows through mentoring and coaching opportunities. The fellowship is a valuable part of our teachers' journeys, pushing them to grow while also providing them the support to engage in and stay in the profession. But don't just take my word for it. Here's what Kelly, one of our fellows, had to say about the impact of this community and support. Kelly said, "I can say hands down that I would have left education long ago if it weren't for the Knowles Teacher Initiative. The support and opportunities to connect with other educators provides me with a perspective and resources that I need to foster the grit required to stay in teaching." So let's jump into those 4 components now. We'll begin with community membership. Our fellows repeatedly tell us over and over again that being connected to communities is one of the most important aspects of the fellowship for them, sharing with and learning from others in a variety of contexts. We believe that learning and teaching and leading does happen best in the collective, and yet we know that teaching can be isolating. So our goal is to combat that isolation by connecting fellows within multiple types of communities. Teachers working together have tremendous power in 3 crucial areas: in their own teaching practice, in their schools, and in the broader educational communities. Our goal is to help fellows become great teachers who have the drive and capacity to improve education and who inspire and mobilize their colleagues in the teaching profession to do the same. So we have 3 communities that each fellow is actively involved in throughout our fellowship. And each one of these communities brings a different perspective and a focus to the work of teaching and leading. I'll share a little bit about each of these now. So let's begin with the cohort community. Each year, we award more than 35 fellowships to new high school math and science teachers who have outstanding content knowledge in math and science, are committed to becoming great teachers, and possess the potential to become the kind of teacher leaders who make a difference in schools. The cohort is the first community fellows engage in and does serve as a grounding point for fellows, especially in the early part of the fellowship. The teachers in the cohort are all roughly in the same stage of teaching, and as such, they can share celebrations and dilemmas that come up for them in their teaching. We also know that there are unique characteristics and challenges in different regional parts of our country. And to support that, we also have regional communities with informal ways to meet as well as more formal and structured ways. We have 5 regional communities that we support: the Northeast, the Southeast, the Midwest, South Central, and the West. The regional community, of course, is based on where the fellow lives each year. And this is an exciting community to build for individuals and for our collective efforts to impact math and science across the nation. And finally, the community that all fellows are a part of is our largest community. It's comprised of all of our current teaching fellows as well as our senior fellows. And as I said earlier, we have a national fellowship community that is over 600 strong and growing. And being networked in and connected to this community of educators with diverse experiences allows for the fellows to tap into the power of this collective to both support their own teaching as well as to have impacts on a larger and connected scale. While we know that the three main communities that I described are important, we also know that there are other communities that will support fellows in growing in their teaching and learning. So we have support in developing and maintaining a variety of kind of opt-in communities, such as special interest groups, affinity groups, and networking at local and national conferences. We know that this provides another opportunity for fellows to create more individualized, strong community connections. So again, each fellow participates in these three main communities throughout the fellowship, as well as having the opportunity to join other communities based on their needs or their interests. Now that you know a little bit about what the communities are, I want to share some of the financial supports that we have available for fellows. Teachers dedicate so much to their students, and yet they often face financial barriers to accessing resources and professional learning opportunities. So through our financial support, we aim to lighten this burden and help them invest in both their student success as well as their own growth and sustainability. Over the course of the 4-year fellowship, each fellow has access to more than $25,000 in individualized financial support. Each summer, fellows receive a $4,500 stipend. We hope that this provides a way to support fellows in resting during the summer or in finding ways to reflect on the prior year or prepare for the upcoming year. Additionally, during the first 3 years, fellows are eligible for $2,500 per year through grants to get materials for their classroom that would support students learning and engaging in the content, and to support additional professional development for themselves. And then finally, in year 4, each fellow again has $2,500 that they can use individually or here combined with other year 4 fellows to support what we call their leadership capstone project, which I'll describe a little bit more in a few moments. And there's still more. We have a collective pot of money each year that is available through another grant writing process for our fellows to access. And the funding can be used in 2 ways. First, to extend opportunities for individual fellows to receive funding for individual needs and growth and materials for their own classroom. And this would be above and beyond that $2,500 that I just mentioned. And the second way to receive additional funding is designed to support community connections in those opt-in communities I discussed earlier. This might include math or science specific focus groups, book clubs that might happen across the fellowship, hyper-local special interest groups, such as our Philly SIG group that meets here, or affinity groups, such as our BIPOC or queer teachers group. So I started our webinar saying that our fellows are committed to become amazing leaders who inspire their students, who support each other in this process, and who lead from the classroom to support their own communities. And you've learned a little bit about those communities and the financial support. So now I'd like to tell you a little bit about how we support this professional community in learning and growing individually and together. All of our work is set within the backdrop of supporting strong teaching and learning in math and science. We believe that teachers are the heart of educational change. When they reflect on their practice and learn alongside others through collaborative inquiry, they develop the expertise to make a real impact, not just in their own classrooms, but across the entire educational system. Our goal is to support teachers in using their knowledge and leadership to create more equitable outcomes for all students, all while staying rooted in the power of their role as educators. So now I want to describe how the communities I shared earlier work toward these goals and provide opportunities for professional growth for our fellows. During the first 2 years of the fellowship, we emphasize the development of the cohort community. Again, this cohort allows fellows to connect with peers who are roughly at the same stage of teaching as they are, allowing the fellows to build community around experiencing aspects of the first few years of teaching together. Our fellows tell us how important this is for their own learning. During the first 2 years, the cohort meets in person for 2 days in the fall and then 2 days in the spring. All of the travel expenses are paid for by Knowles. And additionally, the year culminates with our National Summer Conference, allowing for the fellows to develop connections across multiple communities, including the national, regional, and cohort community. During these years, our focus centers on developing equitable teaching practices in the classroom, exploring ideas such as what does it mean to do math or science, and how can teachers best support all students in developing a deep and connected understanding of the content. Our fellows are amazing teachers, and when we bring them together, they learn and grow and do amazing things in their classroom. And an important goal of the fellowship is that they take action and initiate improvement beyond their classroom. So during years 3 and 4, our curricular emphasis turns to leading for change. As a result, our community emphasis also shifts to developing strong regional communities. While fellows have had opportunities to connect with their regional groups during our national conference in the summer, during years 3 and 4, we explicitly turn on the focus to regional communities as one that will work together, both in these years and ideally beyond, to discuss and attend to complex issues within their local regions. As we shift to the regional community, the meeting structure also changes for the fellows. Each fall in years 3 and 4, the meeting is regional and includes fellows from that region from both of those years, as well as a number of senior fellows from within that region. The focus for this meeting is to discuss and develop action plans for leading for change for issues that are important within that region at that time. The cohort meets then again in the spring, and the year again culminates with the National Summer Conference. To support fellows leading for change, the 4th year is focused on a leadership capstone project. Through the careful work of studying their own teaching practice and students' learning, intentionally developing collegial relationships, and understanding how all of this fits into the larger system of teaching and schooling during the first 3 years of the fellowship, teaching fellows are well positioned in their 4th year to take action. The Leadership Capstone Project directly supports that work and is a feature of the 4th year of the curriculum, as well as supported by specific funding. I want to just talk briefly about the national community meetings that I've mentioned earlier, because they do play a large role in professional growth opportunities for our fellows. Each summer, we bring together all of our teaching fellows at our annual conference. This is a national community event and includes some senior fellows, as well as other leaders in math and science education. This is a chance for fellows to experience a national professional conference. We also explicitly build in time for smaller community meetings, such as cohort, regional groups, or content-specific groups. This provides an opportunity to engage with others across the fellowship and in a range of teaching experiences. For fellows in the later part of the fellowship, as well as for our senior fellows, the conference provides the added layer as a place to engage in leadership development by sharing their ideas via presentations, leading workshops, or presenting. Lastly, I want to highlight the mentoring and coaching support that we provide fellows. The earliest years of teaching are the hardest, and when teachers need the most support in terms of professional learning, financial assistance, and mentoring from more experienced teachers. So we center our mentoring and coaching primarily on our 1st and 2nd year fellows. First, fellows receive support directly from our staff program officers for teacher development, or TDs for short. TDs are the ones who are leading our cohort meetings. They support fellows in writing grants, and they are always here for individual conversations and as a resource to share the ups and downs of teaching. Additionally, each cohort in these first 2 years has 3 teacher leader mentors, or TLMs. These are veteran teachers who have at least 10 years or more of experience who are still in the classroom. So they are in the day-to-day of it with the fellows. The TLMs are in regular contact with fellows, allowing the mentoring here to focus on the nuts and the bolts of the ins and outs, the day-to-day of teaching. on the challenges and the successes of implementing various teaching practices, on developing healthy collegial relationships. And we do our best to match mentors with what matters most to the fellows, such as a particular school setting, an identity marker, or a pedagogical approach. As fellows are learning how to engage in collaborative inquiry around their teaching practices in years 1 and 2, they also work with inquiry coaches. These coaches are our senior fellows who have learned how to engage in this work themselves, so they can authentically support fellows in this process. As fellows move into year 3 and 4 of the fellowship, the focus of our mentoring and coaching also shifts to focus more on supporting leadership development. Of course, our staff are still a main support, meeting the fellows where they are, and they will continue to be a support for instructional practices. Additionally, though, as fellows begin to explore their capstone project and begin to think more about leadership, each fellow will have a senior fellow leadership coach to support them as they undergo this process. So over the course of the 4 years of the teaching fellows receive a lot of support in so many different ways, many of which are customized to their own needs, interests, and contexts. Pretty amazing stuff, I think, right? So let's talk now about how you or others you know can apply to be a Knowles Teaching Fellow. Again, the Teaching Fellows program is an intensive and cohesive 4-year program that supports early career secondary math and science teachers in their efforts to develop teaching expertise and to lead from the classroom. And each year we award approximately 35 fellowships. And those are awarded to folks who have outstanding content knowledge in math or science, who are committed to becoming great teachers, who are developing strong instructional practices that engage their students in deep learning of math and science, and who possess the potential to become the kind of teacher leader who makes a difference in schools and beyond. There are 3 eligibility requirements that you must meet to apply. First, be a high school math or science teacher entering your first, second, or third year in September of 2026. So not this coming September, but the following September. You need to be committed to teaching grades 9 to 12 in the United States. And within the last 10 years, you need to have earned a degree in math, biology, chemistry, or physics. So let's talk a little bit about the application process now. Applying is super easy. To apply, and I'll make sure you have all this information again at the end, you enter your contact information, you upload unofficial transcripts, and your resume. That's your application. I want to mention a couple important dates for application deadlines. You can see we have 4 windows in which you can apply. The advantage of submitting in an earlier window is that if you advance to the next round, you'll find out sooner and we'll have more time to complete the information for that round. So let me share a little bit about that, and then I'll come back to this slide so you can understand that a little better. So those who make it past the application round and advance to the preliminary round will be asked to write an essay. As soon as you know you've made it to the preliminary round, you would have access to the essay question. All essays are due by January 15th, 2026. So again, going back to this slide, if you apply by August 15th, you will know by August 22nd if you have made it to the next round. And if you have made it to the next round, you'll get access to that essay prompt on August 22nd. And then you have until January 15th to complete that essay. So theoretically, if you were here on the East Coast, and most East Coast schools start after Labor Day, you could have submitted your essay by the time you start school. But no worries, if that is the start of your school, which I know that is for many folks, and you want to wait until later in the fall, the next window is October 17th. You would find out by October 24th, and you could go from there. What you'll notice, though, is in window 4, it's a very short turnaround. It closes, the application's due January 6th. You'd find out by the 9th. And then again, the essay would be due by the 15th. So hopefully you see the advantage here is to apply early. The application is easy. And to find out if you made it to the preliminary round. After the preliminary round, you would find out if you have made it to the quarterfinalist round, which would happen in early February. It is a recorded video. The semifinalist round is a Zoom group interview that happens April 11th, 2026. It's synchronous, so you would need to be available for that day. And then the finalist round happens in early May, and those are one-to-one individual Zoom interviews that are scheduled within some convenient times there. One thing to note is that finalists will be asked to provide 2 references. The references will be asked to complete a brief form, and the forms must be submitted prior to the one-on-one interview. If you make it to the finalist round, just know that you would need 2 references, and it is just a form that they fill out. It only takes them a couple moments. Then from there, just to kind of complete the cycle here, fellowships will be awarded in early July. There's a virtual orientation that will be synchronous and asynchronous beginning August 1st. And the first cohort meeting for the 2026 cohort will occur in Morristown, New Jersey. That's right outside of Philadelphia. So that's where folks would fly into on October 2nd and 3rd. So travel would be on the 1st and the 4th. So again, our 3 eligibility requirements plus the 2 dates that I just discussed. So thing to note here, if you do not meet the eligibility requirements, or if you cannot attend both of the required events, then you should not apply. If you're not sure about your eligibility, you can email us at apply@knowlesteachers.org, and I will make sure that email is back up again at the end. So I want to end with a quote from Elena Aguilar's book, Onward. She says, "Imagine what would be possible if you felt connected to others whom you trusted, who listened to you, and who believed in you and encouraged you, as well as to those from whom you could learn and with whom you could do great things." So we believe that Knowles Teacher Initiative is this place. And I hope that today gave you a little bit of insight into the amazing experience of the Knowles Teaching Fellowship Program. So with that, our application isn't quite open yet. It opens in June, but what you can do is scan that code, or you can go to knowlesteachers.org/apply for a fellowship and complete an interest form. And once it opens, we will let you know. And we will turn to some questions here now. And then if you have more individualized or specific questions, you can always email apply@knowlesteachers.org.
Okay, yes, we do have a few questions, and if any more come up, just keep putting them in the Q&A box. So first, I did say at the start that we would provide the recording at a later date, but Jen, do you think we will make the slides accessible as well?
Possibly, yeah, via somehow. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
we'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. And if you want specific access to them, you can always email us at apply. Okay, and now, how do you evaluate expertise of new teachers?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We recognize that we are looking for indicators of what we think will help folks become um, well qualified and develop really great teaching practices. And so our criteria are on our website, and that will kind of help you think about like what we're looking for. So, interested in reflecting on your teaching and thinking deeply about how to support your students in different ways. And through the application process and these different things, there are questions that we ask that help us understand where folks are and they're thinking with that.
Okay. Is the stipend provided as part of a loan application?
The stipend is just that. It is purely a stipend. None of this is this is a no strings attached other than like you have to continue to maintain eligibility, meaning throughout the fellowship you're teaching high school math or science. And if something happens and this happens, like we know we have a really high retention rate with our fellows, but we do have folks who resign the fellowship for personal reasons or whatever that might be. That there's never you have to pay us back or anything. It is just a pure stipend, and the benefits are purely to the fellow.
Do other STEM degrees count, like computer science or computer engineering?
Yeah, so we are evaluating, we're looking to make sure that folks have the equivalent of a bachelor's degree in math or physics or chemistry or biology. Um, and particularly if it's not a straight, my background's math, so if it's not a straight mathematics degree, we would look at what are the kinds of courses that you have that would be the equivalent of that. So do you have upper level mathematics courses? Do you have experience in mathematics that would help kind of show that robustness of your understanding? If you're not 100% sure, you can feel free to email apply and we can look at it. The other thing, honestly, is I just encourage you to apply if you think that you do have, you know, classes that are similar to a bachelor's in mathematics or a bachelor's in physics, or biology or chemistry. Again, because it's just uploading your transcripts and your resume.
Okay. If you are not accepted in one window, can you apply again in the next window?
Yeah, so that's a great question. No, because the windows are just it is a one-time application. So if for some reason you apply in window one and you don't make it, that means you're just not you wouldn't make it in this year. You could reapply for the 2027 cohort if you maintained eligibility, and that does happen. We have folks who don't make it through one year who make it through the next year. So, but the windows are just to give those who make it forward earlier access. So if you don't make it past a window, you would not be eligible to apply again until the following year.
Okay. I think we answered the first part of this next question, but their second question is, are teachers prepared through a Master of Arts teaching eligible to apply?
Yeah. So yes, if you have the content degree, yes, you are eligible to apply. If you have an MAT as well, one thing that I will note, you don't need a master's in teaching. You don't need a certification in teaching um, now. So directly the answer to that is yes, you would be eligible.
Okay. I'll answer this next one just because I know.
Yeah.
Yes, it is strictly for teachers in years one, two, and three, or their first, second, or third year of teaching. We do offer other free online workshops through our Knowles Academy that anyone can take, and that's anyone, not even just high school teachers, any teacher that is beneficial. And we do know of other similar programs that will help teachers later in their career. We're just really focused on that early career support. Can classroom adjacent teachers apply?
Uh, to be eligible to receive the fellowship in the fall of 2026, you need to be a full-time high school math or science teacher. So if you're like a paraprofessional now, you could be eligible as long as in the fall of 2026, you are a full-time high school math or science teacher.
What about international engineering degrees with evaluation of WES can be
Yeah,
used?
yeah. So if you have an international degree, oftentimes that comes with there is some kind of paperwork that comes with it to help us understand the equivalent. And if your transcript doesn't have that and we have questions, we would reach out to you directly to help us understand your transcript. But we international degrees are fine. But just to clarify with that, and again, in order to be eligible for the fellowship, you would need to be teaching in the U.S. at the start for the full 4 years of the fellowship.
Okay, and this looks like our last question for now. Do years of working as an intern count towards years of teaching? I just earned my teaching credential this year, but have 2 years of it as an intern before.
So we consider your first year for eligibility, we consider your first year of teaching as the year that you were full time during the school year as the teacher of record. So my read is as an intern, you probably were not the teacher of record. There was another teacher that was like your mentor teacher or your supervising teacher. So then those would not count. So again, it's your for eligibility purposes, we consider your first year of teaching to be the first year that you've taught full time as the teacher of record. So again, interns usually are not the teacher of record. They usually have a mentor of some sort. So you would be eligible to apply because those would not count.
Are teachers in other STEM subjects allowed, like computer science or engineering electives?
Yes, so in order to be eligible for the fellowship, we will evaluate your content on either math, physics, chemistry, or biology. Once you're in the program, though, if you're awarded a fellowship, we recognize that you might be teaching computer science or some kind of engineering, or you might have come in under with being assessed in physics, but are now teaching math. That is all fine. But just know that through the whole process, we are evaluating folks' content in math, biology, physics, or chemistry.
Okay, that looks like our final question. If you guys have any other questions or other things come up, you can always email us at apply@knowlesteachers.org, and we will make the recording available for everyone as soon as we can. All right, thank you so much. Have a great night.